Well, it's interesting. I mean, if you write for bots and it's read by bots, then I wonder what is the role we play in this whole.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, clearly Google's getting smarter.
Hello and welcome to episode 37 of Rockstar CMO FM. The M is for marketing, the F is for, well, you decide. As you're probably wondering, does the world need another effing marketing podcast? I'm your host, Ian Truscott, founding editor of Rockstar CMO, your regular hit of Marketing Street Knowledge, where we share straight-talking marketing advice from our community of marketing writers and CMOs. You can find us at rockstarcmo.com and on LinkedIn and Twitter. This episode was recorded on Friday the 27th of November. If you're in the US, I hope you enjoyed Thanksgiving, despite the challenges of the virus, or the vid, as all the cool kids are now calling it, apparently. And wherever you are, I hope you've had a good week, that you are well, keeping safe and staying as sane as you feel you need to be. I'm introducing a change to the set list this week. We have a marketing doctor in the house as we start a series of chats with Dr. Christine Bailey, dipping into her book, Customer Insight Strategies. I chat to content agency owner and serial investor and entrepreneur Goodman Anand, and I again retire to the Rockstar CMO virtual bar for a chat with my friend and content marketing guru, Robert Rose. Right, let's get started, shall we? My first guest is someone I've spoken to on this podcast before, and you might be familiar with her from her regular contributions to our monthly publication. It's Dr. Christine Bailey, the CMO at Valita, an international payment solution company. Christine has extensive experience in B2B marketing, including leading European marketing functions for Hewlett-Packard and Cisco Systems, and serves on several advisory boards. She is a respected thought leader and motivational speaker. She's been voted #1 woman in tech by B2B Marketing and #3 female influencer in UK B2B marketing by Analytica. And I suggest you take a look at her TEDx talk, Unconventional Career Advice, that you can find on YouTube, and I'll include a link in the show notes. Christine has a doctorate DBA in customer insight from Cranfield School of Management, and more recently, Christine has added author to this list of achievements, publishing Customer Insight Strategies, How to Understand Your Audience and Create Remarkable Marketing. And over the next 4 weeks, I'll be taking a quick peek into its pages with her. Hope you enjoy this conversation. Hi, Christine. Welcome back to Rockstar CMO FM. Your Customer Insight Strategies book that we talked to on the last episode when we got together is actually out. That must be very exciting.
It is, at last. Delayed because of COVID, but not forever.
Yeah, no, well done. And congratulations on writing a book. I think, as we discussed before, it's an aspiration I have too. And I think for a lot of our listeners that are in marketing, we've all got a marketing book in us. So tell us about what Customer Insight Strategies is all about.
Well, as marketers, we all want to create that extraordinary and memorable marketing, don't we? But, remarkable marketing is becoming increasingly elusive. We're faced with hyper-informed digital customers, tightening budgets, quarterly targets, stifling regulation. And it's actually difficult to stop, think and consider, how could we be doing things differently in order to get to that extraordinary place? And, we're now in the intelligent era. So deep customer insight should inform our every move, because the world is constantly changing and insight's constantly changing. And what your customers thought yesterday or even this morning might not be what they think today or this afternoon. So if you want customer insight to drive your marketing, it's not just something you can do once. So you're going to need to build new habits. Yeah. And what this book is about is helping people understand how they can use customer insights across every area of marketing and build those new habits, right from the beginning of how do you create a mission statement with purpose and a value proposition that matters to customers? How do you use insights to inform a brand strategy? How can you then create and apply customer segments and personas? How can you create the right kind of thought leadership and content marketing and make sure that that it's performing correctly? How do you use insights for not only customer acquisition, but development and retention. And how can you have more insightful social? And then, of course, we're going to need some technology. And most importantly, what are the implications of all of this for practitioners? So the book aims to cover all of those areas.
It is. I mean, it's amazing that it's not like the width of the complete works of J.R. Tolkien or something, because you do cover a lot of ground in this. And I know that you're a CMO, you're a CMO of Valita. What inspired you to actually put pen to paper and start writing the book?
Well, it's been a long time in the making. So back in 2004, a friend of mine, Professor Moira Clark, who was at Cranfield at the time, suggested to me that I should do a doctorate. And that's what sparked the passion for the topic of customer insight, because the doctorate was all about how large UK companies use customer insight for acquisition, development, and retention. So writing a book's always been on my bucket list, and I intended to write one when I published my doctorate in 2008, but life had other plans, and it didn't get written at the time. But I say 12 years later, and I like to think that this is a much better book than it would have been 12 years ago. I think not least because customer insight's more mainstream now than it was in 2008. Plus, to your point about how on earth do you cover all these topics, and I wanted to make sure that I was up to date with the latest thinking around the world. So I interviewed 33 people, a mixture of marketing practitioners and academics, who were all experts in their field, the different chapters of the book, and they very generously shared their opinions and case studies in the book.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I mentioned before we started chatting that we're going to serialize this a little bit. So first for Rockstar CMO FM, we're going to revisit this book over the next 4 weeks or so. So I do want to cover all those topics you talked about. But let's start with the first thing is how do you define customer insights? What's your definition of that inside this book?
Well, if I go back to the doctorate, I defined that customers were collecting data across 5 main areas, which was competitors, customers, markets, employees, and channel partners. And I actually thought, you know what, the picture is pretty much the same today with a few crucial differences. And those differences are that 2/3 of the buying journey now happens online. So we've got enormous volumes of digital footprint data that we didn't have in 2008. The second difference is that with more than 400 million people speaking to Siri and 500 million people speaking to Google Assistant, we know that the world of typing and reading is transitioning to speaking and listening. So, lots of different types of data. And the third big difference is that artificial intelligence, of course, is being used more and more in marketing. But I think, you can still, those 5 areas still stand, with those differences. And then out of those 5 different types of data, I think we're collecting 4 main types of insight. And those are the ones that I explore in the book. So the first one is market predictions. So how can you use those market predictions? The second one is customer segments. And this is a massive area for insight, because I don't think you can have customer segmentation now without insights. So we cover that in detail in chapter 5. The third one is propensity models or predictive modeling. And we look at that in chapter 7, and you use that a lot for customer acquisition. And then finally, the fourth area is customer analytics. And that's predominantly the type of insight you'll need for customer development and retention. And we look at that in chapter 8.
No, I know. And that's a brilliant definition, and it really covers all the bases. So we'll be touching on all of those over the next 4 weeks. And thank you very much, Christine. And I shall join you again next week. Look forward to it.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Christine. Her book really does cover all the marketing bases, as you'll discover over the next few weeks. I will, of course, include links to Christine, her company, book, Twitter, and LinkedIn in the show notes. Time for the next guest. Raj Goodman Anand is the founder of Goodman Lantern, who provide marketing content writing services that help businesses sell better and grow faster. An engineer by profession, he has founded 3 startups, raised capital, and taken 1 venture from zero to acquisition. He has not only had a flourishing career launching startups, but also with large and mid-sized organizations where he's launched startups or new products for them, creating revenue in excess of £45 million. In 2007, Raj won BusinessWeek's Europe's Young Entrepreneur in 2009, was named in Revolution magazine's 50 most influential people in digital. He has spoken at various venues, including the Foreign Commonwealth Office, British Library, and several universities, including the LSE. Raj and his entrepreneurial ventures have had coverage in the Telegraph, Guardian, BusinessWeek, and The Observer. And now, of course, Rockstar CMO. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Hi, Raj. Welcome to Rockstar CMO FM. How are you?
I'm good, Ian. Good to be on the call. And yeah, no, really, really good. Thank you. To Friday. It's ready for the weekend. So yeah, looking forward to it all.
Absolutely. Same here. Happy Friday. Okay. So for people that don't know who you are, Raj, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I run a company called Goodman Lantern. I founded the company 6 years back. And this is my third company. In the past, I've sold one company in the entertainment industry. And one of the businesses has been not as planned, but you have those, I guess. I studied AI at university. I actually did research in AI 15 years back when no one knew what AI was. My mom thought AI was a study of UFOs, for example. So now fast forward, the AI is probably the most talked about technology in most ecosystems in B2B marketing. A marketeer at heart, studied technology, and now I swing between technology and marketing all the time.
So which one do you think is your favorite? Which is in your heart? Is it marketing or tech or both?
Well, a few years back, I came across a term which goes by MarTech. MarTech has become my sort of like, I think it's what I'm close to, like technology with marketing combined in that same sort of salad bowl. Put it all together, mix it all together.
Yeah. I think a lot of us are like that. I'm also a technologist turned marketer, so I feel that. Tell us a bit about Goodman Lantern, your agency. What is it that you guys do?
Goodman Lantern is a team of native English content writers. We help our customers grow faster and sell better using content. And we do content all different kinds. We do marketing content, like the article, social media, blogs, for instance. We also do long form content, which is ebooks, and also, for example, e-commerce stuff as well. So if you with our big clients we work with globally, we work with a lot of the e-commerce stuff. But all in all, we are champions of content. We believe that is what makes someone different. Storytelling is super important for a company's brand, and we believe in it.
Yeah. You're talking my language there. I also have a passion for content marketing, as you may know. But and what benefits do you? I mean, it's a very open question because I think we both believe in content marketing. But what specific benefits have your clients seen taking the content marketing approach with their content?
Well, before I go to my clients, I'd like to say that before I started Goodman Lantern, I was working for a company in Europe. I helped them take their business from 7.5 million euros to 45 million on the back of storytelling and having a different positioning of the company, all using good content. So I believe content can really help a company to accelerate their positioning in their ecosystem and really help them be different and get more sales and close deals faster. With our clients, the story is very similar. We actually have seen the customers, the ones who have really embraced content in the right way, that they have managed to close deals faster. They have a better brand placement, and overall, they are thought as the thought leaders in the industry they belong in.
There's a lot of data about that, isn't it, from people like Gartner and Forrester, that companies that are seen as thought leaders in their space become that leader. Is that what you're saying there? Is that what you've seen?
Absolutely. Well, it comes down to, when you're looking at a large company or a mid-sized company looking to make a decision on their supplier, they got to find a point of differentiation between their suppliers A, B, and C. And often they'll send their research team to kind of go and scavenge from the digital sphere, the ecosphere about the company, and it usually comes down to their content, really, and their thought leadership.
Yeah, I love that idea of scavenging. I think that's something a lot of people do, don't they, when they're looking for content. And when you're starting with your new clients and you start these engagements with them, do you see some common advice you're giving to most of your clients that perhaps I can share with the listeners here?
Well, I think it's not uncommon to be asked for the results to be produced yesterday.
All right.
So it's very typical that you'll get clients come in and say, listen, I want the results within a month from now. I want to see the content is working. And our advice is that content is a long-term game, but it's a gift that keeps giving. Now, once you invest in it, there is so much more you can get out of it, which you didn't even expect it to happen for you. Just for example, just before this call, I was on an interview to be on a television show in Miami. And I didn't even know how they found me, to be honest. But all I can say is maybe it's the content strategy, which I have for my personal brand, for instance. So there's so much more happening with content that you don't know, but it's a gift that keeps giving. Once we invest in it, once you believe in it, there's a different ball game which we get into.
Yeah, I've heard that. And have you got any examples of that? I mean, you've given me a great example of that, haven't you? Your own personal brand where you're being interviewed for the TV. But that's certainly something I think that we've seen, and certainly the conversations we've had with our own clients, and also with some of the interviews that I've done, that once you commit to this journey, it's a long-term journey, but it keeps on giving. These aren't one-off campaign plays, are they?
Exactly. I mean, look at the ad space. I mean, I love Google ads, Facebook ads. I love them, but it is something which you keep investing. The moment you stop the ads, it's not going to be the same referrals coming in, the same number of leads coming in. It stops the ad spend. So with content, that's not the case. Once you invest in it, it's there for long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that we keep raising, we're in mid-lockdown here in the UK, and one of the things we keep talking about on this podcast is the changes in marketing due to the pandemic and the things we're seeing different in the area of content. Have you seen a difference in the way clients are approaching you in what they're doing with content right now?
Well, certainly a spike, especially with, I would say, e-commerce style companies, but also with B2B companies who want to invest in content, but said, listen, we love our face-to-face meetings, we love our exhibitions, we love our trade shows, so we're going to invest in that. Today, they understand that our advice, like last year, made a lot of sense, and that they should have invested it back then. But let's jump into it today, and let's make sure that we are ready to ride the wave. But there's certainly a lot of interest. There's certainly a lot of clients who will be signing up. This has been very busy for us. This year has been really busy for us. We've been literally, we have to, sometimes we have to ask clients to kind of hang on for some time because we can't really onboard them. It's been very different from, for example, in our company, and I guess in the marketing space compared to travel, for instance, where they had to kind of, or entertainment, where they had to kind of stop that. We have had to kind of really switch on our gears and really kind of jump in with more team members and hiring more staff as well.
Yeah, well, that's a good news story, and my God, we could all use a good news story right now. So that's fantastic. And the thing that I'm hearing there, and I've seen a lot of people talking about with content and within sales, and the removal of in-person event stuff, it's that move to virtual selling, right? It's the fact that people are engaging with content more pre-meeting anybody. Is that what you're seeing as well?
Yes, and I think sometimes content gets a bad reputation that's only for inbound people. Like only inbound people need content. The reality is that we all need content, whether we're inbound, outbound sellers. We all need content because content increases familiarity with the company and understand the company's core values, the mission, the vision. So I would say at the moment we're seeing that we're all embracing it. In fact, everybody understands that it needs to be content on their LinkedIn, on the social media, on the website, which is the holy grail, which is as it were of their marketing.
Yeah, no, very cool. And just touched on at the very beginning of this conversation about technology around content, and I keep reading these articles, and we're seeing, the idea that the bots are going to start writing our content and AI is going to start writing our content. Are you seeing any of that in your business? Where does technology play a role with how you're working?
Well, as a technology sort of focused marketeer, and especially with AI, which I love,
Yeah.
there is a lot of opportunities within the content space. And look
Mm-hmm.
at OpenAI, GPT-3, for instance, especially at the moment, where you can enter some keywords and you can get your resume written for you, for instance. It looks promising, and definitely GPT-3 is better than GPT-2. Better tongue twister that one. But it's still far from the creative elements of content writing. I think there's much more than just words when it comes to writing an article or a blog post or website copy. Um, to understand the company's core values, mission, vision, thought process, the requirements of the stakeholders of the company, it takes more than just keywords, for instance. That's not a game which most good content writers are into. We're into a feeling when you read the content, for instance. We're into that kind of perception of the company in words, and that needs more than just smart bots writing keywords and paraphrasing it properly.
But when I've approached this subject, I've always also thought about there's two sides to the bots, isn't there? There's the bots that they're trying to create. They're going to create the content, but also because we're dependent on things like Google and those bots to read our content and understand our content. Do you think that the bots that are doing the reading, as in the Google, are they getting more intelligent and understanding the value of good content, or do you think we need bots to write for bots? What do you think?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, if you write for bots and it's read by bots, then I wonder what is the role we play in this whole.
Yeah.
Well, clearly Google is getting smarter with their understanding if it makes sense, and I'm sure as we get more versions of AI writing a content, there'll be better algorithms machine learning to understand if this is written by a bot or by human beings. I still feel that when it comes to being creative, it takes a human being. You can't replace feelings with a bot. Bot doesn't have feelings. I've spent a lot of time writing algorithms and building AI tools, and at least I haven't figured out how to make the bot feel like a human being.
Yeah. So when you're writing content or you're working with your clients, do you encourage them to write for people and not write for Google, not write for the keywords, not write for all that, but actually think about the audience that you're writing for?
Well, the simple idea is that if that content resonates with the audience, the customers, that's the most important part. More important than the keywords, than the mission of your sort of marketing team. It comes down to the audience. If your customers like what you write and it resonates with them, that means that'll lead to some more interesting conversations, more leads, and more sales, and which is typically what the requirements are for a marketing company like us.
Yeah, man, I want to amen and a hallelujah to that, mate. I'm completely on board with what you just said there. All right, so I know you're a busy man, and so I'll get to our final question. We have a regular feature on Rockstar CMO called the Rockstar CMO Swimming Pool. That is our portal to hell for all the bullshit, snake oil, and overhyped trends that plague our lovely industry that we love. What would you chuck into our pool?
Well, I would say these pyramid schemes and multi-level marketing, sometimes the scams which I've seen in there, not ideal. I'm not a big fan of those, for example. I know this is not really in the content sphere directly, but there is a lot of that happening. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm sure it works for some people, but pyramid schemes actually is illegal in most countries, including the UK. And I would say that would be my sort of thing which I would stay away from as a marketeer or otherwise.
Yeah, that's. I think that's probably the most serious answer I've had. I mean, that's quite. Like you say, there's a legal issue involved in that and all that stuff. So that's probably the most serious one we've had. Usually, it's like banner ads or crappy spam and stuff like that. So marketing pyramid schemes. That seems like a valid thing to throw into hell. So that's fantastic. Thank you very much. And Raj, before you go, if people spin the dial on the interwebs, where might they find you?
Well, they'll find me on LinkedIn. So if you look for Raj Goodman Anand, you'll find me on LinkedIn. Hopefully, number one, because there's no Raj Goodman as far as I know. So that's one. And if you're looking for the company, it's Goodman Lantern. If you just Google it, you'll find us there as well.
Excellent. So that's Goodman Lantern. I'll also include all the links to you and your agency in the show notes. Thank you very much for your time, Raj. Have a lovely Friday. I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Thank you for the opportunity. You too. Have a lovely one.
Thank you, Raj. I was delighted to recently connect with Raj. Another fascinating conversation that I can be thankful for this podcast for. I get to meet all these wonderful people. And I will, of course, include links to Raj, his work, his company in the show notes. Right. It's Friday evening, a holiday in the US, so my clients are quiet. So time to wind down for the weekend. And what better way than to join my friend and content marketing mentor, Robert Rose, in the Rockstar CMO virtual bar. Good evening, Robert. What are you drinking?
Oh, hello, my friend. And well, it's not Thanksgiving for you, but it is for us here in the United States. So we're actually having a very pleasant Thanksgiving weekend here. So yes, it's nice to see you in the bar. I'm well ahead of you. I'm well ahead of you in terms of the number of cocktails I've had. So you'll have to catch up.
I'll do my very best.
So this week, yes, yeah, well, we'll see. We'll hear the pour maybe in a bit. So this week I am filled with gratitude. I choose to celebrate Thanksgiving in the truly classic way of finding all the things that I'm grateful for in this very strange, very weird year. And this week, so I have a drink that I'm dedicating to the thing that I'm most grateful for this year, which of course is my beautiful best friend, my love, my wife. And I call it the pill because the pill, she is my partner in life. And so it is a wonderful, wonderful, the purest tequila, unspoiled by nothing other than a small dash of honey for sweetness, and a little cinnamon because she always reminds me of that spice. So that's my drink this week.
That's a beautiful thing. I don't sully it with my partner for life, which I think we probably know what that is. So did you put ice in that, Robert?
Here's what I did. I have one big rock, so one large piece of ice.
All right. Well, I'm going to put two smaller ones in. Okay. All right. Now then, I think your story is so beautiful that I don't want to ruin it. But anyway, I'm going to go with, that I don't have the finest tequila, unspoiled tequila. I have the very spoilt and very man-touched bottle of Hendrick's gin.
Well, that will work.
From which I shall take a generous measure as your recommendation, sir, because... as you say, you're ahead of me. I'm looking forward to the conversation. I'm wondering how it's been going for you so far. And then the cinnamon, I'm going to replace with some tonic. I didn't get the fizz this time. Yeah, so I'm going to put some
very
tonic
spicy
in there.
Yes.
Oh, very spicy. Absolutely. There we go. Let's give that a taste. Robert, I would love to be sitting there with I don't want to be there. It's just you and your wife having a very nice unspoiled drink. But I'm gonna ruin it with my gin and tonic. Here we go. Oh, that's very good, Robert. That definitely is a partner for life. Partner in life.
There it is.
That is a partner in life for sure. I could drink these every week, as we say, every week. That's lovely, and what a lovely story, Robert. You're an absolute poet.
I'm a very
and if I'm allowed to intrude in this beautiful moment, where would we be drinking these?
Well, I think you'd have to come visit us. And we are up in Santa Barbara area, in a little town called Montecito, which is right on the water. Beautiful. The water is Pacific cold, so you don't go swimming. But it's absolutely spectacular up here, and we'd find a place. It's very Mediterranean, I would say, the Montecito, Santa Barbara area, and so we'd find a place up in one of the, there's the little microclimates as you go up the mountain side, which is just on the water, and so it gets a little warmer actually as you go up. Yeah, and you find a little place that overlooks the ocean in a little cafe up on the mountain, and just overlooking the water. Yeah,
that sounds lovely. I don't want to be the third wheel, but
I'll step away from it for a bit. We've been in the same place together since March, so I don't think she's going to care too much if I step away from the drink.
Well, that sounds idyllic to me. I mean, your part of the world is beautiful. I've been a few times, so that sounds perfect. So we're sipping these drinks, and we are enjoying the fine weather that you have. What is it that we're chatting about?
Well, so here's an interesting thing that I'm finding, and it might just be from an engagement we just finished. One of the things that I've started to notice is that there are companies that are simply joyless, and and by that I just mean they have.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And one of the, and I write this down. I actually make note of this because it's a when you're working with consulting with a lot of organizations, you notice these things because quite frankly, they make for good or sort of disappointing experiences. And so I went back and tallied up the number of companies that I've worked with this year, which surprisingly has been 23 different companies this year. And 18 of them have been joyful. They've been wonderful, happy, organizations. Now, there's no scale here. It's not like, they're 4 or a 7 or, but basically, you can sort of track this to sort of kind of grumpy to absolutely miserable, right? And so, wow. And interestingly, and this is the most interesting part, I don't find that there's like 1 or 2 people here, right? That sort of, it's not a mixed bag. Right? It's systemic. Right. And it's basically, if the company, if the first few people that I talk to are just joyless, sort of miserable people, I can pretty much bet that the whole group is going to be the same way.
Oh my God.
People don't want to be there. They're unhappy. They don't find it enjoyable, et cetera. Yeah. And the interesting thing is that here's the trend that sort of brings it all together, which is I find that the joyless companies are usually either in the midst of or have just completed a technology project to put in some sort of collaboration system, right? Slack or Teams, something like that. And, spoiler alert, it's not going to work. You have to have the joy in order to make the collaboration technology work. And so And interestingly, there's research from A.T. Kearney, the big consulting firm, to actually support this, which is that those employees who are finding joy, right, who have harmony, who feel like they're making impact or getting acknowledgement for their work, they're much more committed to actually collaboration and making the business successful. So I think it's an interesting thing, which is maybe what we want to do is not necessarily just throw in some collaboration technology, but maybe we want to work a little bit on how much joy we have in the organization, so that the collaboration technology might actually work.
Yeah, and how do you work with that? I mean, there isn't a consultancy for joy, is there? I mean, do you just find that's for you is just going to be, because I mean, you're to me, you're a jolly fellow. You bring fun to your sessions and stuff, and it's such a great topic, content marketing, and it pulls on the sort of artistic and creative side of ourselves and stuff. So what's not to like in a way? So how do you find that? How do you find coping with that?
You do the best you can.
Yeah.
He is, they can be difficult to navigate. I mean, every consulting firm will tell you about their, pain in the ass clients, right? They all have them, and some of them are big, some of them are small, some of them, think they know what they need to know and don't cooperate or collaborate.
Yeah.
And then others, you've got clients that are just joys to work with. And so you navigate as best you can. You don't always, like I said, I'm very blessed that I've only had a few of them in this year, and I didn't go back and look at previous years, but I would guess that the percentage is roughly the same. It feels roughly the same anyway, and so you stick with it. You stick. It is exceeding rare that I have sort of fired a client. Now, I've never fired a client for being joyless, but it is exceedingly rare that you don't complete the project, just sort of grin and bear it, as it were. And just chalk it up to that's what they're going to do. Now I will say there is definitely a correlation between those that succeed in making the changes that we typically suggest, and those that have, that are happy about getting the advice.
Do you think that's because they haven't got because in those kinds of organizations where there is a lack of collaboration, there's a culture of fear or whatever, is that because the nature of that organization, the joylessness is almost a symptom of the fact they can't get things done?
Can be. Absolutely can be. Yeah, it can be. It can be, in one particular one that I worked with actually last year, that was exactly it, right? It was, the team was quite frankly dispirited and joyless because they were being prevented from doing anything by, a leader in the organization who just wasn't interested in leading. And so, they saw the fruitlessness of their job. And all of them, with zero exception, ultimately left that company. And so, so you do end up, there are people that are joyless that you can sympathize with. You know what I mean? That are truly nice and people that are just in a bad situation. And then there are the people who are just joyless for no reason. You know what I mean?
I think we've all met those.
But
and I think what's interesting there is hearing the talk about there's a team that can't get stuff done, and presuming there's a somebody on the C-suite is looking down at that team, going, do you think there's an element of, well, I can't trust those miserable bastards, right? They can't get anything done. All they do is sit around and moan, and yet there's this, they're both looking at each other, going, "Yeah, it's your fault. No, it's your fault." What do you think?
Oh, of course. I mean, that, exactly. I mean, and. And there's no solving that, right? There's no, there's no Solomon-like way of coming in there and saying, well, here, let's split the baby in half, right? Because they're like, they look at each other and go, yeah, fine, split the baby in half. I don't care.
Well, that's a nice piece of experience. But what a shame, and what a wonderful Thanksgiving that we should share that. Is there a positive side to joy how do we change?
There's a huge positive side to joy, which is basically when I find that there is joy in the business, in the work. I just see it produce exponential results. I mean, that's where, I would say this: not every not every successful, not every company has joy, but every successful one that I've seen does. And that's the difference.
Yeah, that's it. And it's funny there's me worrying about and focusing on the negative when actually that's the minority of your experience. And really we should be focusing on like, wow, isn't that great? 75% of your clients are joyful or whatever it is.
It's a small minority, but a meaningful one that I think it's worth, sort of looking, because especially in this world that we find ourselves in that is virtual, and filled with Zoom rooms, we can lose touch. And it's important not to lose touch with where people are emotionally and feeling, that their work is important and all of that. So, it's time. It's a
great thought.
Make time to check in.
Yeah, no, it's a great thought. And do you think that'll be another extension to what you guys do at the Content Advisory, the Joy Advisory? Do you think?
That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Yeah. I don't think my stand-up comic skills are quite there yet, but or clown skills. But some might say my clown skills are quite high. But nevertheless, I don't think it's going to be a new service offering from us. We'll just try and view it in all the things that we do. We try and have fun. All of our, we tell all of our clients at the beginning is that we are here to have as much fun as we can with this, because why wouldn't you? Right? Why wouldn't you try and enjoy this process? Because talking about skills and processes and governances and technologies and all of that can be woefully dry, and if you're not having some fun with it, then why do it?
Well, I mean, exactly, and like I was saying at the beginning, is I think that the craft of creating content is it comes with flow and all those good things that are positive that make us feel good. But yeah, I suppose we are putting the mechanics together to allow us to have that fun, I suppose, aren't we?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. No, I love the thought. And let's focus on the 75% of people that have joy, and also on that wonderful tribute to your wife on Thanksgiving. So I'm glad you had it. I'm glad you had a great Thanksgiving, Robert. And I've already mentioned the Content Advisory as I'm contractually obliged. I'm joking. To do. Where can people find you when they spin the dial on the interwebs?
Well, you're very kind. Basically, you can find us at contentadvisory.net.
That's splendid. Thank you. And yourself, Robert, where are you?
Well, I'm all over the interwebs, but primarily you can find me on Twitter at Robert_Rose, or of course on LinkedIn, where I would love to connect with everybody as well.
That's splendid. Thank you very much, Robert. And will I see you in the bar next week?
I'm guessing so, yes.
Well, thanks again, mate, and I'll see you then. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. Thank you, Robert. What a wonderful Thanksgiving thought there. Also, thank you to Christine for sharing her book, and to Raj for a wonderful conversation. So that's a wrap on episode 38 of the Rockstar CMO effing marketing podcast. If you like my guests, please give them a mention, click on their links, follow them, and take a look at their work. I really appreciate their time. But most of all, thank you for dropping a dime into your podcasting jukebox, selecting our track, and jiving along with us. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked it, maybe you can help answer the question of whether the world does need another effing marketing podcast. Drop us some feedback, a review, subscribe, share, or just keep listening. I'm glad you're here. Next week, the Doctor is back in the house as we again dip into Christine's book. I have a chat with Xenia Muntean, founder of Planary, a content marketing planning tool. And you heard the man, Robert Rose, will be back in the Rockstar CMO virtual bar. Until then, I've been your host, Ian Truscott, founding editor of rockstarcmo.com, and I hope you'll join us again next week here at Rockstar CMO FM.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Christy Heiler hosts a fantastic podcast called Own It. Christy, tell us more about the show.
Own It is all about celebrating women and non-binary advertising agency owners. We talk about buying out of the boys' club of advertising because less than 1% of ad agencies are owned by women.
And where can people subscribe?
You can find the podcast at untilyouownit.com. We're also on the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcast.net. And of course, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard her. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.